Okay, we got our lines established for this block wall we're going to build. We pulled our strings off the property corners and we painted these lines on the ground for the edge of our footings. We're going to video this wall in a few parts, like part 1, part 2, etc. So part 1 will be digging and preparing for wet setting. Part 2 will be the wet setting process until the wall is completed. I want to give you guys as much info as possible. I know there's a lot of details in a block wall, especially the wet setting process, so I wanted to give you guys as much info as I could get without making these videos long and drawn. So hopefully this will be good education for some of you. Some of you might just get a few ideas that you may already know how to build them, and you're just trying to get some new ideas. There's a few here for you. So I want your wall to go as smoothly as possible for you and eliminate as many mistakes as we can possibly eliminate. So like I said, we're going to be doing these in parts. So if you don't want to miss any of these videos that we have in this series, then subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of them. And let's get going. I'm digging this thing with a E60 array, and these footings actually turned out pretty straight, believe it or not. This section here, the ground is actually shifted, so one side is higher than the other, so it's a little bit difficult in those parts where it's doing that. But overall, you know, it worked. I didn't have to go rent a mini excavator. Even though I want to get one, I still didn't have to go rent one. So this thing actually works surprisingly well for digging a shallow footing. Just a little tip when you're digging a footing. Yes, when the excavator pulls his bucket out to dump, that's when you move in with your laser stick. So you take a scoop, he moves out, you move in with the laser stick. Then when he's coming back, you move back out of the road. Makes a lot of difference in the efficiency when you're digging a footing. You can work together, move together. You can get a lot more done when you're digging a footing. Makes a smooth operation. Goes way better. Cutting the end of this board so that my rebar, when I'm bending my Z-bars, will fit in this little slot so that I can get it to be 8 inches, because it's further than 8 inches from the bend point to this end of this board, so I'm cutting a little notch in it. So for an 8-inch step, and you have to lay your cutter down sideways, put it at 8 inches. And you have to bend it sideways. We have about a 50-foot run on this line here. So if you'll see our mark there, then that is level, and the string is pulled that 50 feet and it sags that much. So you're always going to want to laser level a middle peg to hold your string in place, and it'll make a lot of difference on the level of your wall. So anytime you have a length that long, go ahead and pound a center peg to hold it. Make sure it's on the right side of the string so that your block can run past it and not hit it. Make sure you pound the peg in nice and level. Okay, we got this 8-inch step. We got the Z-bars here in place. You pull your string in starting at the bottom of the peg, and you just wrap the string around the peg up to the top for your next row. Make sure your rebar is on the right side of the string so that your block can run past. Use one rebar for this step. Don't use one down on the bottom and then another one on the top. It's really difficult to keep those things lined up when you do that, and it'll make a kind of a weird jog in your footing if you build them that way. Another example here is a 16-inch step. We built these 16-inch Z-bars. We bend them the same way we did the 8s. Just have to lay your rebar bender down on its side to do it. And just bring your string in at the bottom of your rebar and wrap it around the rebar till you're up to your 16-inch mark, and then pull off of that using only one rebar for your steps. Got these strings set. We lasered these in, put a line on them, and put our string to it. We measured 17 inches off the dirt to the top of our strings, so that it sets the block in about 3/4 of an inch. That's about the most I like to do. Make sure that every time you pound a peg in to hold a string for your wall, that it is on the right side of the wall so that your block can run past your peg. Super important. Later you'll try to run your block past and it'll hit that thing, and you're going to have to pull it out to finish wet setting. So whenever you have an H block situation like this, or a 45 like this, even a corner or any other pilaster block for that matter, you're going to want to hold your rebar back far enough so that you're right here where your string's going to sit has room for so you keep your peg back a couple inches so that you have room for that H block to fit in there. Another super important thing is to make sure that when you pound in these rebars to hold your string in the middle of your wall, make sure that every one of these rebars that are going to be up against your block are pounded in nice and level, or your block will hit down at the bottom of it. You won't be able to get your block positioned how you want it. So make sure that peg's nice and level when you pound it in, and if anything, favor leaning away from your block so that you have room. At least where you're going to mount the string is nice and straight. When you're laying out your block, you put your H's in the exact position that you want them, so that you can set your H's in place. And then as you're wet setting, you won't have time to sit there and calculate it all, or at least it just helps you to stay ahead of it instead of behind it. So what we do is count how many blocks we need till we get to an H, then put the H in place, and then just grab it next. So you come along with your block, and as you're wet setting, you're moving along, and then you get to an H and you can just put it right in the wall. That way it's already all counted out for you. You don't have to do that while your concrete's kicking. When you're calculating the concrete for your footing, we dug it with a 14-inch bucket, so we're gonna figure that it's 16 inches wide. Your bucket does move around a little bit, rocks will roll, so we calculated it 16 inches wide with a 14-inch bucket. So whatever size of bucket you use, just go 2 inches bigger for your width. So when you're cutting up your steel for your uprights, if you have rebar that's 20 foot long, you cut them at 2'6". It uses up your rebar evenly, gives you some room to stab it in the footing, and then give you your bar lap sticking out of the footing. So 2'6" on a 20 foot length bar gives you 8 pieces exactly. Uses your material up evenly. Okay, we put our block in here. This isn't going to be an H. Our A blocks haven't showed up yet. So anyway, we put this here just to get our rebar marked out. So you make sure your string is lining up with where it needs to go into the block, so that everything's square. So this is how we're going to determine where to drill our holes for our rebar. So we're going to drill 3 holes in it for 3 rebars. Using 1/2 inch rebar, so I'm going to drill with a 5/8 bit, so it'll just slide in there. I get my hole started, and then I'm going to put it on an angle like this, so because I won't be able to get a bend on those bars very good, so I'm going to put it on an angle so it grabs the concrete. It will create a friction point for it. Okay, so these holes go all the way through this little slab, and it will come into the concrete down under here. That way our column has something to grab onto. This is just a little thin slab of concrete. Thought about cutting it out, but it just leaves an ugly, weird little spot on the edge of it, so we're going to do it this way. It'll hold just fine. Here's our rebar that we drilled the holes through the slab and slid these through. They're on opposite angles to create opposite friction points. So if the column tries to lean, these will create opposite pull forces. Keeps the column from leaning or pulling these rebars out of the concrete. So this is on an angle going that way, this one's on an angle going that way, and this one's going on an angle on the opposite way. Okay, so we're going to build us a wet setting shovel. We got a 7 5/8 block. We're probably going to be barely able to keep up with the slab, so we're going to cut our shovel at about 7 inches. So if we cut it at 7 inches, then what that does is it makes the concrete just a little bit high. So basically your concrete will be the height of the shovel, and your block will go in this far right here. So it's not too far in, but it's far enough to hold it and grab onto it good. But if your concrete goes hard and you get behind a little bit in wet setting, you only have to worry about this much concrete. If you do it too deep to where you're shoving it in a full inch, sometimes that can be kind of a long ways. So I'm going to put it at about 7 inches. We'll cut the shovel off right there, and we're going to cut a notch out of it just like this. Okay, so what this does is it allows you to screed right to here. So you put this to your string, the shovel's out of the way enough. If you just cut a straight notch in it, your string will try to go in there and sit there and get caught on it and cut your string off. So you don't want any burrs if you can get it clean enough. I don't have a grinder or a file to make it all nice right here, but so you get this to where it's not sharp enough to cut your string. And then wet set it. You pour your concrete and you screed to your string right here. So you keep your concrete or you hold your shovel at your string here. Concrete's down here. Hope that was enough detail for you guys. Didn't want to drag this footing out too long, but I wanted to give you enough information that you could get this done in a decent fashion, in a timely fashion, and hopefully make money with it the next time you go to do a wall like this. When you go to order your concrete, if you are pouring out a big pour like this, this is 11.5 yards is what we're going to be pouring out here. And if you have that much and you don't have enough help, put a couple of hours of delay set in it. It's worth your time. I didn't do it on this slab because I thought I could handle it, but the wind ended up picking up, so I have it all filmed. We're just haven't haven't edited it all together yet, so that'll be our next video. So subscribe, hit that notification bell so that when I upload that video you can watch the wet setting process. I'll try to be super descriptive how to handle the block, how to take care of everything, make sure that you're keeping your walls straight as possible. We have some pretty ugly steps in this one. Sometimes they can be a real bugger, but if you do them right, they can turn out pretty nice. Sometimes I know the wind is planning on blowing for the next couple of days, so we're going to be doing this at some pretty extreme weather, so hopefully it'll go better for when you guys pour. So thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. Catch our next video.